welcome to the stream. So today I'm gonna continue with the castle room that I've been making, and I'm gonna focus on a second little piece of furniture here. It's the one that I'm circling right now. I'm probably gonna make this into a bookcase that is similar to the one on the left, but that has um, more closed. I don't know what you call them, compartments. So it's gonna have some wood paneling, and I'm looking at a couple of references that have shelves in them, like with little drawers, and possibly a couple larger drawers. So I'm gonna start planning out the space in a second. Also, if you hear random voices in the background that are not mine, it's because I have other people in the house that are playing video games. So you might hear them talk to their friends. Just ignore any other voice that is not mine, and pretend it's just people on the street. Alright, so let's get into this. I'm using also a new kind of technology that I haven't used before, so we'll see how this goes. But yeah, let me make the app my main screen. Should be able to see it now. And yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so first I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with the space here. How do I... Okay. Trying to make sure that the video is actually reacting to what I'm doing, because I'm looking at the video on my computer while I'm drawing on the iPad. Alright, so let's plan out the space here. I'm gonna first think about the colors for a little bit and see, do I want to go similar in values to the other piece of furniture. I think I'm actually gonna stick to this default brown that I made, and actually possibly try a more desaturated version. Let's see what that would look like. So slightly more or less saturated. That's too low. Okay, perhaps something like that. And maybe significantly lighter. That blends in too much with the ground. Although I might be changing the ground anyway, but could be.
Listening to sad country music.
That could be slightly better. Maybe slightly darker. I think I'm going back to where I started. Alright, and then from this color I want to get a lighter value for the top. Right, actually like that. It's different enough. I might actually bring it back into saturation with what it was before, but we'll see. And I'm actually gonna change, I want to, change up the dynamic of the room a little bit and make this one, so if you notice something really interesting that's happening here, I'm gonna make a new layer to demonstrate that. So this, this is supposed to be an isometric perspective. So, for example, the width of this, if it were to be right next to the wall, it'd be like this much, right? So this would actually go this far deep. Actually, yeah, probably like that much deeper, right? So there's actually a bit of space in the back here. So what I'm gonna do, and because of that, is make this one thicker.
Oh my fucking God.
So this looks like it's, the same. It starts
I hope no one saw
about at the same place here. I'll make a separate layer for that and choose. Actually, let's undo that because I drew a line. I'll make it white and make a new layer. Make a new layer. Okay, draw away. So it starts about in the same place, but it's significantly deeper, as you can see here. Yeah, I just want it to be slightly different. So, alright, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna merge down the layers. and I'm gonna start planning out the shape. So right away I'm gonna make this darker, and like I did yesterday, I'm actually gonna start by turning off pretty much all the layers in the back, just because I wanna see a grid that's more representative of the size of the pixels. And I'll keep the other piece of furniture, and maybe even the character. Yeah, it doesn't bother me, so I'll keep that in. Alright, and figure out, let's see, go back to the,
we had,
I'll go back to the right layer,
what's his
layer,
name?
not lawyer. So I'll count
Orn.
one. I don't know why I can't be drawing. Oh, because I'm under the right layer? Yes, I am indeed. What am I looking at here? Is that the carpet? Oh yeah, that's the carpet. Okay, let's not get those confused. So I need to be focusing on these two. So if I count maybe 3, so this is another technique I use to just measure, how far something is. Especially when working with just a couple of pixels, it's easy to figure that out. And have this object just in there. So I'm already kind of giving the whole piece of furniture a bit of thickness. Just like yesterday, I want to start by establishing, drew up some things here, establishing these borders, and then at the same time I want to figure out the bottom plank, if you will, but before I do that, I'm actually going to plan out more of how the drawers that I was talking about would be divided. So I'm thinking I want to have a couple of big drawers at the bottom, and then several small drawers at the top, kind of like an apothecary. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but like an apothecary. Alright, so, and I also don't want it to be parallel to that, because that would just look odd.
Because they hate you.
Alright. So like I was saying, the voices in the background are not mine. I do not take responsibility for what's happening there. Angry words may be said during intense video game sessions. Yeah, so something like that. Actually, like that. I think I'm gonna divide this into 2 pieces and divide the top drawers into like 3 pieces. So the reference I'm looking at just has 3 sets of 2 small drawers,
So aggressive.
but I'm
Oh
gonna
my
do
God.
slightly different, just because I think it would look cool. So
We're
grab
going
that
as
color.
fast as we can.
grab that color and place one down the middle. Move it slightly because I think it's not right in the middle. Yeah, that looks about right. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect because it's supposed to be medieval or so,
Wow.
fantasy furniture. So I'll split that in 2, and then this at the top here, I'm probably gonna split it in 3 and see what that looks like. So we'd plop one here. No, that would be 4. Okay. I probably should measure, but let's try to eyeball it. See what happens.
Oh, that bitch still got me. What the fuck?
Like I was saying, not responsible for what's happening in the background. Hopefully you can't hear too much of that. Yeah, I like what that looks like. I'm now gonna put in those drawers, and I'm gonna merge these. I'm okay with what it looks like so far. I'm gonna put in those drawers, and I almost want them to have the same values as that, but just slightly darker. And I'm gonna try to figure out if I actually need. Yeah, I think if I keep a border to it, they'll look good. They're actually not identical. It looks like the two on the edges, on the sides, are bigger and the one in the middle is smaller. But I kind of like that look, even though it's an accident. And then these are not necessarily drawers. They're like big compartments, but something like that. And maybe I'll put some knobs on them. Yeah, maybe let's start with that to see what that looks like. Plant some knobs on them. And actually I want to start with something darker. And I'll probably turn that into the shadow for the object, but
is it?
And I want it. What I'm thinking right here is that I want a kind of a handle type of knob, and I wanted to make it thicker, but let's see what that looks like when I put in. Yeah, that's not bad, other than the fact that it's not symmetrical. I won't be able to achieve that, unfortunately. And as you can see, I'm making this up as I go. No, maybe the other way around, actually. And slightly darker. Alright, kind of like that. But I'll be adding more detail on it anyway. So, but that looks like something I might like.
No,
so I'll start
I don't.
by moving them on.
Thanks for the information.
All the other ones. Okay. So now I'm gonna put some similar handles on the big one. Alright, so I'm back. So it turns out that let's see, is the stream back on? It is. It turns out that this app that I'm using from Elgato is only free for 15 minutes, and then it asks you to make an in-app purchase. But it seems like it's really stable, at least so far. I'll have to watch the stream afterwards to see if it really was. But I just bought the rest of it, so it was $10. But I got the app, so now I should be able to continue without being interrupted, but we'll see. Hopefully it's worth it. It seemed like it had a lot of good reviews, so, and it's the only stable way that I've read comments about for doing this kind of thing. Right, so I was saying I want to do a different type of opening mechanism here. And actually I don't want to use a circle. I want to use a rectangle. And do something like that. It would actually be the other way, so let me mirror that.
It's okay.
So I imagine you'd put your hand in that and pull. And because of that, I should probably give it some hinges on this side, so I'll go and do that. Make it narrower and give it some dark gray hinges. Oh, and you may or may not notice on the, I assume you notice because it's taking up a quarter of the screen. But I'll take this moment to say that what you're seeing on the right side, because the iPad is, not the same aspect ratio as the default stream size. I could fit in a little window to my game on Steam. So the game that I'm drawing for is Dungeon Marauder, as you can see on the right side, and that's just a live link to the Steam page. So that's what you're seeing on the right side of the stream. Just because I figured, since that space is not being used for anything else, might as well put the game there in case anyone who's watching hasn't seen the game yet. And since I'm talking about it, feel free to go check it out on Steam, and if you would like to play it, sign up to for wishlisting it, and I'll let everyone know once it's out. It should be later this summer.
What is clicking?
Yeah, I kind of figured I'd put these little hinges on the side here, and I'm gonna just tone down the values a little bit, make them blend in a bit more. Okay, that was too much. Yeah, that's good for now. I'm probably gonna make the groove darker anyway, so I think this should be good. Undo that and duplicate this layer and mirror it and put it on the other side. That looks about right. Okay. And since I was talking about that, I'm just gonna start merging these because I don't think I'll be changing my mind about this. And I want to go darker around the grooves here, just because I want them to stick out a bit more. I'm doing this on a separate layer anyway, so I can make this as dark as I want. So I chose a really dark brown, almost black.
That Rengar had it out for me.
Okay, so now, yeah, that's much darker, and maybe this edge even darker. And since I'm working on a different layer, I can just merge this, duplicate it, mirror it, and put it on the other side. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. I think I lost my, I either didn't duplicate it earlier or I lost it just now. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it, mirror it, and move it. There you go. That looks symmetrical. Nope, no, I didn't want to do that. It was already a single layer.
Anyway.
So at this point, I want to start giving things some more texture. I think to figure out what I'm trying to do, I'm going to start with the top. So I think I'm going to add just a slight highlight on the edge. Just all around, and just make this really subtle, but since it's the corners, and then add a little bit more highlights on just these corners, not the full edge like I was saying earlier. I said corners earlier, but I meant edges. Yeah, just so they look like they're a little bit scuffed up. And another one on these sides as well. And I drew an accidental line. Ignore that. It's because the palm rejection is not great. Sorry, what?
Let me guess, please. Okay.
Yeah. I'm now a waiter as well. Alright, I'm back to the drawing. So put this down, lower the opacity a little bit. Okay. I think I like that. And I'm gonna start giving this some texture. For this, I wish I could rotate in this app. Unfortunately, you cannot rotate because it kind of makes sense. It's pixels, so it would be a bit hard. So I'm gonna rotate my whole device. Obviously, you can't see that on the stream, but you can probably hear the noise because I'm rotating my whole iPad. And starting to put down some texture here. And I want to make it to look like it's some wood graining. I'm drawing these on different layers because I want to probably do different opacity on them. So this is a different approach than what I was doing earlier or yesterday on the other shelf. I want a big plank here. It stops about halfway, and then one that's darker, maybe that goes the rest of the way. And as you can see, I'm not too worried about it being perfect because I'm also gonna go back in and clean it up a bit, but also because once I reduce the opacity of these, which I'll start doing right now, probably hide the ones that I'm not working on. I don't want to change the base color too much. I just want some slight difference in them, and then I'm probably gonna go and also add back some highlights into it too. This should have been 2 layers. I don't know what I did here. I ended up with a single layer, which makes it more difficult to control it, but that still looks pretty interesting. So I think I'll keep it as it is. I don't want down to blend in too much. So here I'll probably fix this. It was a 40. I'm gonna correct this piece a little bit. Lower it again. And I don't like that it's drawing on top of that. It's creating a little artifact. Alright, I like that. And I'm gonna merge these now into the base, and then go back in and do some cleanup. I also want to add some highlights. It looks like I'm right now I'm looking at my Twitch stats. It looks like I'm peaking around 1 streamer. And then it's dropping back to 0, so people are probably looking for 5 seconds, figuring out that this is not something that interests them, and then dropping out. It's alright. If you're watching this on YouTube, then obviously you missed the live stream. Feel free to follow me and subscribe on Twitch if you want to see it live. Otherwise, I'll try to post them on YouTube, both like a version with a voice like you're hearing right now, and also just a sped up version for people who just want to watch to see the the techniques, but not necessarily hear me rambling, because I am rambling. There's nothing really specific here, just kind of sharing my thought process. So yeah, now I'm adding some darker areas just to give this a little bit of texture. I'll start merging again and maybe add just a couple of long vertical lines, or horizontal in the way you're looking at it.
No.
Alright, and even on those, I'm gonna go back and add some highlights. Oh, that's too big. Just a little bit of highlights, so it looks like, you know, from above,
Why were you
it looks like
drunk?
there's a groove, and then there's
Were
some
you
light.
drunk?
There's some light shining on the groove. Yeah, and there it is. It has a little bit of pattern.
Tipsy.
That's enough for what I need here. And that's gonna inform how I'm gonna do the rest of this. I'm gonna drink a little bit of water. Okay. So now I need to figure out what will be my approach for the what makes the front of this. To start, I'm gonna start putting like stronger shadows on the bottoms here. It's probably a bit too strong. Yeah, just so it has a little bit. It looks like it has some depth to it. And as I'm saying this, I can feel the strain.
I don't think he's paying attention.
I can feel the strain that the streaming from the iPad is putting on the poor iPad, because it's burning my hand as I draw on it. It's gotten really warm. I didn't realize it would do that, but it's because just with the pixel art app, it definitely doesn't get as hot. Well, oh, somebody's back watching the stream. Feel free to post message in the chat, stranger.
You could probably ask Addison to move him.
So I'm adding some highlights again. There's actually this bottom corner probably shouldn't have highlights, but just very faint. And what I want to do, and I didn't do yesterday, even though I said I would, I want to make a bit of a gradient on the edges of this piece of furniture. So I'm going to start with really dark at the bottom, and then go back to this brown. Slightly lighter, just slightly lighter. And then I'm gonna then reduce the opacity a lot, but this is just a hack that I use to just create the fake gradient, and you'll see in a second when I tone this down, you know, it's starting to look like there's a gradient of texture too on the whole thing. Do some more on the bottom here, as I wanted it to be consistent.
And now I'm drinking some cider.
I'm gonna
what color?
I'm gonna keep going to the edges.
Cute. I love the color pink.
And I'm laughing to myself at my wife. What my wife is saying in the background. Okay, so keep going up with the gradient, slightly lighter with each one. And again, it's, you know, it's at this point it's blending a little bit too much into all these pieces on the side, and the drawers themselves. But I'm not worried about that, because I'm gonna tone down the intensity of this a lot. I did not mean to draw over that line.
Oh my god.
And I'm gonna erase that.
December.
Alright. So
I'm not. I'm really bad with math.
So I'm going to lower that opacity. And I have a subtle gradient. I'm actually going to exaggerate it a little bit more by making this top lighter as well. Let's see. And decrease that. But now, see, now I have a little bit of texture on the side, and I'm probably gonna kind of bring some of that in here. Just add a little bit of noise, and it might need to be a little bit more exaggerated, just so it blends in a little bit. I'm gonna lower the opacity on that. Yeah, see, like at this point I have just more texture to the wood. And I usually just, keep doing a little bit of that at a time until I'm happy with how everything reads from a little bit further away.
Internet.
Okay. Some more in the corners.
Wow, that Twitch really wanted him.
I want to be able to put a little bit on each side, just because I want all of these to be kind of the same values, and then I can always break that pattern if it's too strong. But that will just help me add some more visual interest, more really it's just texture, noise. They're so subtle and they're not really attracting a lot of interest. So, and I need to go slightly darker on the bottom line. Switch that to rectangle and make that significantly less intense. Okay, and then I have a bit more noise on that, and I want to do some more texturing on the object itself, on the door itself. So similarly, I'll pick up a really bright value and just start with some edge highlighting. Don't want that to be a square. Just a little bit of edge highlighting. Tone that down. And I could, obviously I could be painting directly with the value that's more in line with what I ultimately end up with, but I like going really bold and then using the opacity to validate, a few different ideas at the same time, and more easily make decisions. So I don't have to commit early on. I'm gonna do a little bit of patterning now, just kind of like
you fucked up.
Just some wood staining. And this one a similar way. And just so I don't repeat what's happening on the other side.
It doesn't seem like it, but
and if it's slightly similar, sorry, I'm trying to cover over another person here. If it's slightly similar, I'm gonna be breaking them up even more later as I reduce the opacity. But I kind of like that. I actually want a second color too, and I'll probably put it on a separate layer just again so I can have individual control over it. So this would be a long one, and then I'll make a small one here, and maybe another one in here, just again to have slightly different coloring in there. because as I turn it down, it's not going to stick out too much. And
what? I said pissy.
I just
want getting pissy.
Want some patterns. Merge those down, and I feel like these almost look like grooves, so I'm gonna put a little bit of kind of like tears in the wood. And take those down a notch, and then add highlighting on the other side of them, so they almost look like the groove that they're supposed to be. And I drew on top of that. I didn't want to do that. And there you go. It's pretty good. I think I need to go, now that I look at it compared to the top and just from a distance, I don't feel like it's enough. But I'll try to do something slightly different on the on these drawers, and then see how it compares. So I'm gonna put on these drawers and put a little bit of shadow at the bottom, then a little bit of highlights at the top, maybe slightly darker slightly darker middle highlight. And again, this is gonna get toned down in a second, but
I think you have to wait.
I want to see just a little bit here. Make this darker.
Wait, who?
Possibly this darker.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah, I think I could have gone with that. I like that it's significantly bolder, so I think I'll use that same approach on the bottom as well. Let me merge that, and I'm gonna copy this drawer. Copy and paste, and I should move it on a different layer. Place it here, and I'm gonna edit it a little bit. So I want this to be different on this side. And I see people keep coming in and out. Fortunately, nobody's staying, but let me put a message in the chat.
Everybody gets mad at Joe. Why does Yasuo keep just going up?
Alright, put a creepy robot in there. So, you know, say hi when you come in. Sorry, I'm moving my microphone a little bit. Okay, so what was I saying? I'm gonna slightly adjust this just so it's a little bit different than the other one. And then maybe copy part of it and paste that. And then maybe copy part of this one. And again, obviously this is hacky. I just mirrored it or pasted the same thing, but you know what? I'll just go with it. Nobody will know other than everyone who's watching this. Okay, copy this little piece, paste it. And again, if you're interested in just seeing my process without hearing my voice blabbering about the entire thing, you can just watch the sped up video of this session that I'll be putting on YouTube. It'll be the exact same content, just sped up, 2 to 4 times. So you just see the process without the boring explanations. if you find these boring. I myself, find them entertaining as I'm doing them, but that's just me.
Oh, there's a health pack down there.
And I'm probably giving myself too much credit. So, like I was saying, I liked the look of the top. So I think I'm gonna do something different here at the bottom. I need to find a color that's in between these two values to blend them in. I think that works. And then have a little bit more of that. And a little bit more of this brown. It's too strong, and I'll tone it down a little bit.
Nice.
And now, now the door looks like it's slightly bent at the bottom and has just a bit more life to it. And I'll take this and go bold through the entire thing, just because I just want the whole thing to be slightly darker. And I'm probably going to put that similar technique to how I darkened everything else earlier. I'm going to use that. So I'll make a giant block that it will wash out all the colors, but it will also subdue.
So
And I'm using the wrong box. There you go. It's gonna subdue everything as well, and it made it darker, which makes it pop more from the background. I will copy this and flip it and paste it on the other side on a new layer, because I don't want to keep everything. I want to see how it compares pattern-wise. And there's a few things I'll keep, but there's also many things that I'll erase. And I'll maybe tone down a little bit and have it blend. Alright. That's almost what I want. I think I need to go, just because I started erasing content, I need to go slightly darker. And again, this video, will show you all my mistakes as well, so you'll see, how I address when I feel like two pieces that should be part of the same material, are not the same value, like it's happening right here. And I try to eyeball it. Now, now it's about the same value as the one on the right, except for the edge, because I erased. First I lowered the opacity, and then I erased what was on it. At the same time, I've noticed that I haven't given much detail to these. So I'm just gonna add some random things right now that just add a little bit of shadowing and a little bit of detail on different pieces. And then play with the opacity of that. And I'm also gonna add in a little bit of highlight. And actually just a bit more shadow on this part.
Let me know if I should unmute him.
And a bit more underneath. Just as if this whole door handle was casting a shadow on the wood paneling. Yeah, similarly, I think maybe even with the same value, over here, it would actually have to be significantly darker to stick out, so I'm gonna choose something closer to black to start with, just to cast a shadow underneath. It might be a little too strong, but yeah, about there. Yeah, and I think this is looking, pretty close to what I'd want it to look like. I want to add a couple more things. I want to add a bit more saturation to the whole thing. So I liked the feel of this left side version, even though I started trying to make it different. So I'm gonna copy that color and maybe wash out the whole furniture with it. It subdues some of the darker areas and it brings it more in color in line with that color. And I only left it at 8%, maybe even less, maybe 4 or 5%. Yeah, so see, that's a really subtle change, but it adds a bit of more life into it. Possibly do even more on just the top. So actually, let's see if I go with full 100% saturation and even lighter maybe, so that it doesn't wash out too much but it changes the hue a bit. So that's a before and after. It's probably too strong. And this is all, eyeballing it and based on what I know that I want to make in that room. Obviously, the final tweaks of the overall hue and saturation will most likely happen after I implement this in my game in Unity. But this is more in line with the furniture that I have planned and other crates and barrels and other things that I have. I'm going to start turning on the layers because it's getting to almost finished. I think the last thing that I want to do is, because it's really close to that bookcase, I want to add maybe a book or something on top of it, just so it doesn't look as empty. I might also put a vase on it or a picture frame or something later on, but to start, I think I'm gonna just add a little book that's sitting sideways, and maybe one or two that are vertical. So let's start with that. Let's pick a color from here. Maybe this purple. This kind of looks interesting. Or this darker version. Let's see what that looks like. And put that on a new layer. Just to add some visual interest at the top. And books are not round. So it'd be something like this. No, actually, that looks pretty good initially. And then see what the edge would look like. Give it, like maybe has a title and subtitle or something. And then put a bit of darkening around here, and maybe some highlights over here.
Especially probably a lot of mental illness.
And then also in the corners here, add some extra highlights. And I want to just add some really, really subtle patterns to everything. So I'm just gonna make it very, very faint, but just something to add some visual noise. This would also cast a shadow, so I'll put that underneath it. Go with some really dark purple. Let's see what that would look like. It actually would go the other way, now that I think about it, because the light in this room will be on top but towards the center of the room, so a shadow would be going this way. And it could be darker.
Yeah, what the hell?
And at the same time, maybe some contact shadow on this side that's less intense. Let's see. Should have probably gone more intense. Alright. And now that I made that shadow so dark, I'm nitpicking at this point, but I want to make this edge just a bit darker. Okay. Alright, and I'll move this book slightly to the side, and I want to get another one. Maybe I'll even copy one from here. Maybe I'll take these two, copy them, make a new layer, paste them, and what happened? Alright, let's do that again. Is this the right thing? It's not. That's why it's not working.
Yeah, she just stood
Where
in that spot.
is the bookcase? Oh, it's this on top. Alright. So I'll copy these books again. From here. And then make a new layer. And paste them. And move them. Okay, that worked. I actually don't need both of them. I'm gonna use just one. And someone joined the chat. Hello. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to add a little bit of visual noise to this so that it looks like it kind of has some pages in it, but I also want to keep the idea that it's a hardcover here as well. And I don't want to merge them all the way, so undo that. Okay, that's a single book. I'm going to duplicate that. Do some self-shadowing. So someone in the chat asked, what app are you using for your pixel art? So this is an app called Pixaki. I'll jump out of it real quick. So yeah, it says right here it's called Pixaki, and I think it's only available for the iPad. It's definitely iOS only as far as I remember, but it might have an iPhone version as well. I remember when I got it a couple of years ago, so I don't know how much it was. So you could check that in the store, but I remember it was a little pricey. I think it was somewhere around $20. It might have changed in the meantime, but it's definitely the best pixel art app that I've found on the iPad. And if you see the game on the side, Dungeon Marauder, that's the game I'm working on. I've made the entire art in that game using this app for the last year and a bit. So it's really nice because you can do things on the go. You can do things on the go, and it's easy to work with. It has animation layers and many other fun features. But I hope that answers the question. And just since there's someone in the chat, I'll repeat what I was saying earlier, i.e., I'm going to try to post all these videos of what I did yesterday with this, this piece of furniture on the left. And then what I'm doing today, I'll post these at some point this weekend on YouTube as well for people who want to watch them or who've missed the stream or just want to be able to pause and, replicate what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm making all this art for my game, but I also want to make small tutorials out of it. So yeah, now I'm duplicating this book because I want to make something very similar but not identical. So I added a little pattern on top of it, and I'm gonna move this cover a little bit and just edit it a little bit so it looks like it belongs in the same collection but it's slightly different. And I'm sorry for the noise in the background. My wife is also playing video games, so she's talking to friends. So just ignore the voices that you hear that are not mine. Okay, so I like that. Just wanted a little bit of noise. I think I'm gonna move them because I don't want them to be right in the middle of the bookcase here, or the shelf. I want to make them so that they're offset a little bit, and then put some stronger shadows underneath this one, the two new books that I added. So I actually didn't need that many new layers. Let's see what that would look like. Sorry, I got another message in the chat. Can I make some cover fan art for it? I'm not sure what you mean. For the game, obviously feel free to make any fan art you want. It's exciting that someone wants to make fan art and the game's not even out. But yeah, go ahead. And I'm reworking the logo a little bit and kind of the visual identity of what I want on Steam, but I wanted to put the game on Steam just so people can wishlist it and see what the game's about. I'm also at this point kind of redoing the character, and you can see a quick snippet of what the character looks like now. Obviously, what's on Steam is just a little not cylinder. It's a capsule that moves around. But again, I just want to put it so people can see the kind of what the gameplay is like. But yeah, if you want to make fan art, go for it. I'd be happy to, if you want to send it to me, I'd love to take a look at it. But you don't have to. Let's make this darker. Yeah, and what I like here is these two books are slightly offset from the one that's on its side, and I'm actually gonna move it further up so they look like they kind of stick out of the bookcase, shelf. But yeah, and maybe the other side of the shelf still looks a little empty. I do have some vases that I have around here on one of the layers that I made a while ago. Some of them might belong there, but I don't know. For now, I think I'm gonna stop at that. I think I'm not gonna put anything else there, just in case I decide to do something later with that. I'll hide these layers again. And these ones. So these are just blockers anyway. But yeah, I think that's it for what I'm gonna do today. I just passed the 1 hour mark on the stream anyway. That looks pretty good. I think I figured out the tech a little bit more too, so that's great. Since it's only the second time and I've used 2 different apps so far. This seems like it's been some smoother experience, so I might continue with that. I might be doing maybe tomorrow or the day after. I might do this little. This is supposed to be a bed in here where the character is. I'm gonna use a color to draw on that. So this is supposed to be a bed, and then maybe like a table here. And I think I just need to dress the dress up the things more. Yeah, actually, so again, as someone, the same person is asking in the chat if I have a Discord. I do. I just started a Discord. You would be the first person there other than me. But let me share the link. Since I don't, I don't have many.
I can't. I'm stuck.
Many people who've been interested since I announced the game. Let me share a link to how you can join the Discord. So I'm opening it up right now.
Is it ever?
Because I don't have a copy of it since I just made it.
Oh damn.
But let's see.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for asking about that. So I think it's what, server settings overview. So the comment said the game looks like it will be pretty fun to play when it's done. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if how much you can tell from the Steam page. Like I said, I kind of rushed those videos just to have a store presence so people can wishlist the game until I actually finish it up. But basically, the idea is that you can once you start moving in a direction, so it's a kind of like action puzzle type of thing, with some very light roguelite type of things, because you can pick up armor and stuff, and that will prevent you from dying as fast. But once you make the character move into a direction, it will not stop moving until it hits an obstacle. So you have to plan out and decide, what's the optimal way to get from point A to point B, and pick up loot on the way, and find the exit out of the level. And there's monsters that try to stop you, and you have weapons and or pick up armor and that kind of thing. But it's not that simple as you move left and you stop or move until you hit the wall. You can also move slower or faster in a direction, so you can kind of time out. This person said, so it's like ice puzzles and Pokemon games. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. So there's some additional flavoring on top of that. So once you start sliding, like you're saying, it's like sliding on the ice, if you will. You can keep pressing, on the controller, on the keyboard, or you keep pressing in that direction to go faster. So like to slide faster, if you will. And if you press the opposite direction, you go slower, but you cannot change the direction. So once you've started moving left, you're going to move left until you hit an obstacle or die. Like you hit the wall, for example, and then you stop moving. But you can still control how fast you're going, and you can swing your weapon. I'm not going to talk too much about the weapons because some of it hasn't been fully fleshed out. But for example, with the sword, you can swing left or right after you pick up a sword. So you'll have levels in the beginning, that will be very simple, but you start encountering monsters, and you may or may not have a sword when you encounter those monsters. So you kind of have to figure out I need to avoid the monster in this level because I don't have a weapon to fight them yet. But once you find a weapon, then you can fight your way through the monsters while also sliding. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. So I got myself distracted. How do I share this invite code? I haven't done much Discording on this side of it where I'm managing this. Let's see. So, invites. Invite people. Okay. I guess it says that it expires one day. I know there's a way to do
Damn, you do so much damage, or
permanent membership. Let's see, expires after never. Let's see, generate new link. Okay. Yeah, this says it expires never, but it has 100 users. Okay, that should be good for now. I should make one. I hope there's a way to make one where it doesn't expire at all, or it doesn't have a limit. Because this one doesn't expire, but it looks like it has 100 people limit. So that should be it. I shared it in the chat. Should be able to join. Let me know if you have any issues. And I should save this. Okay. Yes, so the way you go about saving is you just go out of the app, or just the backwards, and then it says, saved at 9:27 today p.m. Pacific Standard. But yeah, so this is saved now. I can stop afterwards. Awesome. I have a new person, my first person other than me in the Discord. Good timing too, because I made this, I think, a week and a half ago or so, maybe a little bit longer, but I forgot that I should probably start mentioning it on Reddit or something, and in the stream, now that I'm streaming the art. Well, anyway, thank you for joining and for following me on Twitch and for joining the Discord. Yeah. I think this is going to be it for today. I'm probably going to stream one more time this weekend. Figure out what I'll do next, probably this little bed or the little table, whatnot, and probably block out a little bit more of the room, just because the overall layout I'm happy with and it serves my gameplay purpose, since this is going to be the starting room that the character starts in. But I might also work on the castle a little bit. And since you're on the stream and some other people who follow me on YouTube might not have seen this, and actually, let me send you a quick link to my YouTube channel as well if you're interested. I'll put it in the chat. But it has similar content, just pixel art. Let's see. Where is it?
He's so selfish.
YouTube, my channel. All right. Alright, that should lead to my channel, I hope. I'm a game developer and artist. But this is where I post the videos, usually after I do stream. But this is only the second time I've been streaming. The other videos were pre-recorded on the iPad and didn't have voiceover, so it's just a kind of a sped up tutorial time-lapse with no... thanks you. Yeah, you subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you very much.
I took that for you.
It's without any narration, most of them. I think I have one or two that actually have some voiceover where I just explained after the fact, but most of them are either sped up or regular speed of me drawing something. And as you can see in some of those videos, you'll be able to see the old character that I decided to redraw and kind of make different proportions and just more articulated, and did more pre-planning, since I figured out I needed a lot more animations than I anticipated originally for all the different types of deaths and for picking up weapons and many other things. But what you'll see on YouTube that's not part of the Steam yet is there's a lot of extra traps that I've started drawing and monsters that are not yet implemented in the game, so it kind of gives you a quick peek at what the future will be and what the game will have in the end. But anyway, I think I've been blabbering enough. I think I'm gonna stop here. Thank you for joining the stream, and thanks everyone who's watching this on YouTube after the fact. I'll try to post within the next couple of days both a sped up version just for people who just want to watch the quick time lapse, and this version with me talking on top of it. Hopefully this got recorded on my computer, since it's only the second time I'm using this Twitch Studio app. Hopefully it got recorded. If not, I should be able to download it from Twitch, but that will be slightly lower quality. Anyway, thanks again, and have a good day or night or whatever it is in your time zone. And take care. And bye. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.